Ernest Holmes would say spirituality is the realization of God. The realization, making it real for us. And ultimately, that's what it's about, right? When I tell people from outside of here what I do for a living, I get a number of responses, and one of them is, oh, I don't do church. I don't do religion. And I kind of laughingly say, and I don't doctor. And they usually look a little puzzled. You just told me you are a minister. What do you mean you don't do church? I said, well, I don't do church in the traditional way. And I'm not trying to be a smart aleck. I don't do church in the traditional way. What I have is a spiritual community. And you've noticed that we've changed our name many years ago to Center for Spiritual Living. To try to make it more available to people who are a little bit tired of church and dogma. Now, hey, a lot of us do call it church, and that's fine, but for the people who don't want to, it's a little bit broader. This is a spiritual center. This is a spiritual community that we have. So in one sense, we have a religion because it's the common thing that brings us together. But we in this community aren't seeking dogma. We in this community are seeking that realizations that Ernest Holmes talked about. We are teaching, we are a community, we are encouraging a personal experience of God. You have never and will never hear me tell you how to believe in God. That would go against everything I believe. That's personal to every single one of you. As much as I may like to tell you how to believe in God. Because there's sometimes there's that. But I will never. Because I know that just like I wanted for myself, I didn't want anybody telling me what I had to believe or how I had to believe it. Because heck, I'm just a little bit rebellious. And so because I'm that way, I figure you're that way too. Telling you how. So here we are encouraging you, seek your own God. Which means we're going to have lots of different ways to interpret it. And that's okay. Because we all find our own language, our own stories, our own symbols that make sense to us. And so here we are having this personal experience. Personal doesn't always mean private. Because here we are, all of us having a personal experience of God, but we've come together. We've come together as a religion. We've come together as a common unity. And that was one of Reza Aslan's descriptions of religion. It's people who come together in an identity around what they think God is. It doesn't mean any one community is right or wrong. But we come together in this religion because we identify with it most strongly. It resonates with us. It's the language that makes sense to us. And so here we all come together as like-minded people. And that's a beautiful thing. I'm guessing that when you go out in the world, you don't always find it everywhere you go. Right? How many of you find this kind of community at work? Anybody? I can raise my hand.
Yeah, sure.
There's a few people, but most people don't find it. How many of you find it in your family? A few more, that's great. So you come here because we're like-minded people. And so that's part of our draw, that's part of our languaging. I have something to share with you that speaks to this from Ernest Holmes. And I'm going to tell you it's a little bit longer than I usually read. But it just all goes together. And so I'm going to just invite you to close your eyes if you want to. This is titled The Need of Spiritual Experience. Our founder, Ernest Holmes, says we need spiritual experience. A first-hand knowledge of life and reality. There is no medium between God and humanity. Nothing between life and living. Except an idea. But an idea has no real value until it becomes an experience. In conversation, we assume great knowledge of religion and philosophy, but how much do we really experience? We can know only that which we can experience. All great religions have taught truth, but it means nothing to us until it becomes our truth. We need spiritual experience. We shall never know peace until we embody it. We shall never know truth until we become truth. Spiritual experience is deep, calm, and self-assertive. It is the result of actually realizing that presence which binds all together in one complete whole. This experience comes in the stillness of the soul. When the outer voice is quiet, when the tempest of human strife is abated, is a quickening of the inner self to an eternal reality. Spiritual experience is a fact. Spirituality may be defined as an atmosphere of good, the realization of God. It cannot and does not borrow its light from another, no matter how great or noble that other might be. It springs from within, coming from that never-failing fountain of life, whose source is in eternity, the wellspring of self-existence. It is a revelation of the self to the self, putting one back on the track of his own self-dependence on spirit, his own at-one-ment with reality. Spiritual experience is necessary. For me, when I talk to people who are devout in their faith, whatever it is, the thing that gets my attention is, are they living it? Not can they talk about it. I would rather have somebody who stumbles over their words, who says, I don't know how to talk about it, but exemplifies it in how they live their life, rather than somebody who can spew out all this great knowledge, but they don't live it. I want us to be the people who, whether we can speak about it eloquently or not, can live it in our life. Are we taking our experience of God and putting it into practice? When we go out in the world, people recognize us as, well, there's something different about you. You have an energy about you. You have a vibe about you that people are resonant with. So for those of you who worry about, I don't know how to talk about it in a nice way, forget it. Can you live it? Are you practicing these principles in some way, shape, or form to the best of your ability every day? That makes more sense to me. We're seeking that inner spiritual experience, aren't we? We can use, as the young girl in my very first reading, the young girl said, everybody can help everybody else know God. And so we can use the Super Soul Sundays, we can use the readings, and we can use all these wonderful faiths to go, keep us curious, as I said at the beginning, keep us open-minded. We can use all that. But the only purpose of all that, in my opinion, is to embody it and make it ours. Make it our own spiritual experience. Visually, this is how I see searching for God, visually. So I'm going to give you two visuals to hang on to. One of them is a fish swimming in the ocean, searching for the water. Dogs on everybody at their own time. That's searching for God. The idea of searching is kind of like that. The fish swimming in the ocean looking for the water. The other one I've heard is, I'm going to say donkey instead of the other word. But the other word is how I first heard it. Riding on a donkey, searching for a donkey. You're already riding upon it. We're already swimming in it. And then that segues us into exactly what we are teaching, that the way to find it is to stop searching outside, but to search inside. Reza Aslan, the Muslim man I was talking about, tells this story. It's a Sufi story, and Sufi is the mystical side of Islam. He says there was this flock of birds, thousands strong, who wanted to go see the king of birds, called the seaboard. And the thousands of birds start out together to this great journey to go meet the seaboard, the king of birds. As they go, there's many dangers and there's many pitfalls because they have to travel a long, long way. By the time the flock of birds made it to the palace, there was only 30 left. Because the dangers were so difficult and the flight was so long. 30 birds arrive at the palace and they're ushered in. And they're all excited. I get to meet the king of birds. They get to meet the great seaboard. And as they come into this room, what's in front of them is a giant mirror. That's how the story ends. That they got to realize